Hey there, fellas. Now, I just gotta say, the weather outside right now is pretty gnarly. We're experiencing severe cold. We were not expecting the temperature to drop to -40. Then I happened to stumble upon this radiator, and here's the deal. This is quite obviously a heater core, and that's not the focus of the video. Hopefully it's warm in all of your cars. The thing is that starting your car in the morning with these sorts of temperatures is a serious problem. But then an idea occurred to us. Why not try and set up a heater that will warm up some sort of heat exchanger, find a way to warm up the coolant, which in turn will circulate around the engine and warm it up. The idea is to find a way to save on gasoline, electricity, preheating and all of that. I suppose that in the meantime, firewood isn't difficult to come by. So let's try setting something up that would run on firewood, and try it out while temps are pushing -40. We make a preheater that runs on firewood. Translation and voiceover by BMI Russian. So check this out. I'm guessing you can plainly see that the weather outside is frightful, to the point where we don't even have to whip out the thermometer. It's really cold outside. Definitely below -30. And yeah, everything has frozen over. And right here we have the device. That's the preheater. And we won't be making any fires underneath the car, or setting any of the systems into motion. None of that. Instead, we'll be making a fire outside of the car. And we're gonna hook these hoses up to the engine block. And at the end of the day, it should be similar to a household heating system, or one that somebody would set up in their garage, for example. So we'll get a fire going. The pumps on the car, the battery, none of that will be under any stress. And our hope is that the difference in temperature will get the liquid to circulate. Because the in point on the engine side is going to be the upper cooling hose, while the out point will be the drain plug on the engine block. So hot upper point, cold lower point, it'll cool and go down. From there it finds its way into the lower tube, warm up in the serpentine pipe, and move back into the upper section. So that's the theory. As for how this actually plays out, who even knows? Someone brought something. Yeah, this is motor oil that has seen some use, and look. Yeah, that looks... We are using some ordinary stuff, the cheapest you can get, essentially. And it is thoroughly frozen. Right, let's go ahead and have a look at the dipstick. Take a look at that, it's not even dripping down. Oh, wait, it's slowly forming a drop, actually. Alright. Try turning it. The wheel won't move. Stop. Well, it is turning over, but it is having a very hard time. I suggest we make life easier for it by firing up this preheater. Let's hook it up. Right, which one of these goes where? Oh yeah, and one more thing. Before hooking this up, we actually filled the hoses. As a matter of fact, the entire system is filled with coolant. And so now, right, this is the upper hose. There will be a tiny bit of air in there, but it is just a tiny bit, where the hoses connect. But what matters is the system is full, so don't go thinking it's empty, because we need circulation to start off rip. Now the lower one, what do you want to connect it to? Okay, so we're making a fire, and now we gotta open up all of the valves for the circulation to begin, so that pressure buildup in this part of the system doesn't result in hoses popping off. Right, so heat that up and observe. As soon as the hot water, or rather warm water, finds its way inside the engine, we should be able to tell by looking at the engine and the hoses. Man, it is cold outside, and the entire engine is covered in frost. So I'm filming this for the record? What if that thing goes kablamo? And it did. I picked a good time to get away from there. So check this out. This is rather interesting, I'd say. So apparently, even though there was only just a tiny bit of air in the system, looks like a vapor lock situation. Pressure was building, this long hose turned out to be the weak link. It has a kink in it, and circulation in that spot isn't as good, and ultimately it ruptured. But it's gotten warm, that's a good thing. And so, what we're going for here is something similar to a household heating system. And what are we missing? You guessed it. That right there. The system has to have an overflow tank. Let's install one. Okay guys, so look here. We are seeing some pretty interesting developments. We had to bring this down slightly, shorten the legs on the heater to get it lower, and over here you'll see we've set up a T-piece, and that tank is constantly boiling. Well, not all the time, of course, but it does bubble, meaning that the system contains... That is some great circulation, this is tight. The hoses have gotten really hot, and we've been at this for... over an hour at this point. I'd even say an hour and a half. And we did have to play with the position of the hoses. The reason being we were seeing popping, bubbling, and all of that. There was a lot going on. And look at how warm the block has gotten. See how the snow is melting? And if I were to grab this, the cylinder head, it's quite scalding. The temperature is so high that when you turn on the ignition, the gauge, switch it on. I can't see it. Well, I'll be, it's almost at running temperature. So it has gotten properly warm. I mean... Look at all of that steam. It is very hot. As for the dipstick, I wouldn't say the oil is very, it's still pretty thick. I mean, it might have gotten slightly warmer, but I doubt it. But we're ready to start it. As you would have seen, the engine block is real nice and hot. I think we'd better remove the heating system. Yeah, we should get it off of here. Remove it from the heater. There we go. So that it doesn't get any hotter. Close off the valves. Let her rip. Come on now. It started as if it were still cold, though, when actually it's hot. Temperature is probably dropping, right? It has? Yeah, well, only by a tiny bit. But look at that, the engine is running. It's running, and that is quite a good thing. It is very cold outside. Voila, it works! And so to sum up today's experiment, the system of ours, it's not electric, you don't plug it in. It's not pulling any current from the battery of the car. Also, we didn't hook up any electrical devices. No pumps, no boilers, no nothing. All we got is a small heater, burner, call it what you want. We basically welded it out of parts we had lying around in the garage. A serpentine heat exchanger that's made out of metal. I'm sure you can make one from aluminum, steel, copper, doesn't matter. As long as it provides good heat transfer. 2 hoses, a good 4 valves, a T-piece, and of course an overflow tank. We initially thought the radiator cap would release any excess, but one of the hoses burst, so there was obviously too much pressure in there. We fixed that with the tank, and that's about it. Something tells me you'd be able to start the engine no matter what the temperature is. Granted, this did take a while. This required firewood, an hour and a half of waiting. Maybe just spend some time where it's warm, in another car perhaps, while the block on this gets warm, but in any case, we got it to start. And that is good. We're looking at a 107% success rate. We got there, and that's all I got for you. Watch us, subscribe, send in your suggestions, comment, give us a big thumbs up. That's it for this video. All of this works, the engine is running, we got it warm, everything is good. Now we wait for some heat and catch you later.